Hello and welcome back to another Sentient Scroll expedition. Today we're in a location and a site called the Shandwick Stone, which in Gaelic is called Clach, a Charraidh, and it means the plot and the stone of the burial plots. There was a burial ground found here around this area in 1889, and it was thought to have been last used in 1832 during a cholera epidemic. We are near the town and the borough of Tain in the north of Scotland. It's an absolutely stunning day. As you can tell, the sun shines out. I'm about to go and show you this stone, which is facing onto the ocean, and I'll give you a wee look right now. Absolutely stunning area. We're going to go and visit this stone. As you can see in the distance, the stone is unfortunately covered by a glass case, which I'll explain the reason for later on in this video. But you can see where it lies on the land, on this beautiful Scottish afternoon. Very tall, this one. Definitely the tallest one I've visited so far. There's something truly magical about these Pictish symbol stones, and that's largely down to the Picts themselves, who are surrounded by mystery, as although they dominated what is now Scotland for centuries, they left no written records. All that they left was stones such as this, and symbols and markings within these stones, and on metalwork found throughout the landscape of Scotland. I think this is what makes stones like this even more important, the fact that these symbols are the only thing that remains of a society which dominated large parts of this country, and it's almost as if that's the reason they're here, to communicate through thousands of years of time with generations to come. And my belief is that's exactly why they created these stones and put them in certain positions on the landscape such as this, which is quite imposing. They done it to send messages and to show a record of their culture and their history to human beings thousands of years apart, to us modern day human beings who are of the same flesh and blood as the Picts and are only separated by thousands of years of time. There is a lack of agreement between experts on what became of the Picts and why they disappeared into history so completely and so suddenly. The reason for this though might actually be quite mundane, as they may have just evolved and assimilated with other peoples in the area of Scotland and became part of what went on to be known as the early clans of Scotland. However, when you do look and are in the presence of these stones with markings such as these, it makes you wonder, and it makes you think about a completely distant but unknowable past, and why they carved such symbols on stones and placed them in places like this for people like me and for generations after generations to come here and visit and look upon these carvings and take their own interpretations from them and try and come up with their own reasons to what they actually mean. When I had this thought, it made me think of a quote I heard some time ago, which I'm going to read you right now. It is almost as though we have awakened into the daylight of history from a long and troubled sleep, and yet continue to be haunted by the faint but haunting echoes of our dreams. Bonus points if anybody in the comments can tell me where that quote is from, and who wrote it. I'm going to try and get a little bit closer for you. Just going to respectfully go through the fence here. What I've noticed about a lot of these standing stones that I've visited so far is they all seem to be quite strategically placed on the land, and they all seem to be like either on top of a hill, or in this case it's facing direct onto the sea, so even ships coming in would be able to see it. And I imagine that was done on purpose, as it's quite clearly quite strategically placed. It's huge. It stands about 9 feet tall, the Shandwick Stone, or about 2.7 metres high by 1 metre wide, and it is thought to date back to around 780 AD. However, it only entered written records about 1,000 years later in 1776, at which point it still stood intact on its own. However, unfortunately in 1846, during one windy blown night, it was cracked and split into 3 individual pieces, which you can see. There's a marking right across the stone there. There's another one at the bottom. So unfortunately it was split into 3 different pieces, and you can tell because it's possibly next to the sea, it was obviously extremely windy, and the stone itself isn't extremely thick. It's probably about 3-4 inches thick, so it unfortunately split into 3 pieces. It was then repaired and re-erected in 1988, being given some extra protection, which you can now see it resides in its new glass home. Unfortunately, it means I can't actually go up and touch it. One side of the stone is Pictish and depicts pagan symbols. As you can see, it's got the spirals at the bottom, and then it depicts a hunting scene in the middle, which is really hard to make out even for me, so it's probably quite difficult to see in the camera, but there is animals, and there's some bows, some people holding bows, and it's supposed to depict a hunting scene. And as I said, this is the pagan side of the stone, and some further designs at the bottom there. And what's really cool about this stone is, round the opposite side, which will take you right now, the side that faces into the sea, absolutely stunning. This side is the Christian side of the stone. The western and landward facing side is the pagan side, and the eastern and seaward facing side is the Christian side. You can see the centrepiece is a cross, which is how investigators know that it is the Christian side of the stone. And it's got some extremely complex markings for the time, as this was 1200 years ago, so it would have been quite an effort to carve this into stone. It's not the easiest of tasks. This area has crosses, the main cross in the middle, and it also has depictions of angels, animals and serpents. You can see the serpent there and the 2 animals. That looks like a wolf and a dog there, and unfortunately you can see the wear and tear on that right hand side there. On the right hand side there, that's possibly where it maybe fell over, and you can see the split. So that's why this big thick glass panel is protecting it. What's amazing about this stone is the fact that there is a Pictish side, and well, a Pictish and a pagan side and a Christian side combined within the one stone. And this is extremely unusual, and basically it shows you the conflict and the combination of the 2 belief systems within this area of Scotland. As I now leave the Shandwick Stone and this beautiful site, another one ticked off on the list. Thankfully I got the weather today. We say goodbye. Thank you for watching this video, and if you like this kind of content, if you don't mind subscribing, possibly liking the video. It really helps me out. It means that I can go on journeys and visit historic sites such as this one, which are otherwise unknown to most of the public. 1200 years old stone with conflicting religious symbols, showing a mutual respect between the two and how it was extremely important, both religions, to Scotland's history, Scotland's early history. It's a beautiful, beautiful site. Unfortunately, I couldn't actually go in and show you the stone up close, but maybe next time. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.